The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here every day on this show and at YSN. As always, we thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of this show and everything that we do at YSN. We got a great show for you today. It is the last one of February because it is February 28th and we do not have a leap year, so this is it. Tomorrow will be in March, and that means the calendar keeps turning, which means we're getting further and further down the line for these fall sports. We had a couple of boys teams punch tickets to the district championship last night. Got a couple of more trying to punch tickets tonight. A couple more on Wednesday. The boys district tournament real spread out. You know, one game at a site per night, 2 games and 2 nights, for these sites as well. And then obviously we have girls basketball teams fighting for spots in the regional championships tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night. It's exciting times. And we're also, we got to start to, kind of see the spring sports come up in the horizon. Next week we'll probably start reaching out to coaches, starting to do a little bit of previews for the spring sports as well. So exciting times as we turn the calendar from February to March and we venture on. On today's show, the last show of February, we're going to have a couple of interviews played for you guys, a couple of interviews from teams that are going to be in action tonight. We have Matt Reel, head coach of the Canfield Girls Coaches Corner, that we're going to hear from their team playing Marlington tonight in Barberton for a chance to get into the regional championship, I should say. Can also hear an interview from Dylan Turvey, a big leader of that South Range boys basketball team that is fighting for a chance to get into the district championship tonight in Warren Harding. Then we'll play Brookfield. So we're going to play both those interviews for you as we go along. Let's start off, though, like we always do, with the recaps of what we had last night. Only 3 games were in action, 3 district semifinals. And when you look at the final scores, the big shocking one is Beechwood was able to beat Pymatuning Valley. The Lakers had been one of the best teams in the NAC all season. They looked poised to make a run in the district, but this is how tournament time works, right? You're not promised tomorrow. Every team can come up and beat you. And I said it yesterday in the tournament, you don't have to be the better team. You just have to be the better team for one night. And Beechwood was the better team for this night in particular. 74-65, they get the win over the Lakers. But as we do every time we have to say goodbye to a YSN school, we want to congratulate the Lakers on a great season. Great season. I got to see them live. They are a long basketball team, a lot of height, a lot of length, hard to deal with. They can score from anywhere on the floor. They're just a lot of talented basketball players. Britton was really, really impressive to me when I was watching him live. But then they have Neza Parenko in there as well. So they have a lot of good basketball players. And like I said, they're a tall basketball team. When I came into the gym, it was against Champion during Champion senior night. And I looked across and I watched them warming up and I was like, 6'2", 6'3", got to be 6'4". And then you watch Nisparenko, and it's like that's 6'5", a lot of length, and it's hard to deal with. Beechwood got the better of him last night, but it doesn't take away from the incredible season that the Pymatuning Valley was able to put together this year. Congratulations on a great run, and we wish all those athletes the best of luck in their future endeavors, whether they're graduating or moving on to next season and looking at what they can do the next year for Pymatuning Valley. Lutheran East, they are good. I mean, they're a good basketball team. That's ain't even an understatement. They're one of the best basketball teams in the state, and they had their second straight 100-point win in this tournament, 100-42. They beat Columbiana. It's just, I mean, there's not much to say about this one. Lutheran East, they're a team that a lot of quote unquote experts, outside that are just breaking down boys basketball in the state. A lot of people expect them to win the region. A lot of people expect them to make a trip to Dayton. They're that caliber of team. And sometimes in the districts, when you have that caliber of team, you get scores like this that you run into that buzzsaw. And Lutheran East is an absolute buzzsaw, by the way. So Columbiana, unfortunately, they're the second team that we have to say goodbye to today. Great season. They got a win last week, not last week, but then the last round that I'm sure that a lot of people didn't think that maybe they would win. Valley Christian playing them for a third time, tough league opponent. Columbiana was able to knock them off and advance into the tournament. That's a big step for their program going forward. It's going to give them a lot of confidence in the next year's EOAC, which I think is up for grabs with Wellsville losing what they're going to lose from graduation, and United, obviously, and Valley Christian, Columbiana. I think all three of those teams are going to be in it. Lisbon, obviously, they're going to be back in it too. But all those teams that I just mentioned, early exits in the tournament. So that's going to make them hungrier coming into next season as well. So we turn our attention to the next final. Warren JFK. This is the one, another one that Warren JFK was just lights out. Really good basketball team. 83-47, they beat Wyndham. Wyndham had the upset over Wellsville to get to this game, and it was tight for a half. Wyndham was really playing hard to start this game. They weren't intimidated by anybody, but JFK in the third quarter outscored the Bombers 30-9. That is not a typo. 30-9 in the third frame. And when you give up a quarter like that in the tournament, especially in the third quarter, there's just no coming back from that. Even if you give up a quarter like that in the first quarter, it's almost impossible to come back from. But if you give up a quarter like that in the third, where you have literally 8 minutes to come back from that, not does not bode well, unless you already had a big lead. That's the only way you can come back from giving up a 30-9 quarter, is if you had a big lead beforehand and maybe you were up by 20 and you lose the quarter by 21. So it's like, hey, we're only down by 1 now. We can still come back from it, but that was not the case. It was not Wyndham with a big lead giving up the big lead. It was a tight basketball game that Warren JFK ran away from. Their offense has proven they can do that all year, and the final score was 83-47. They're moving on to the district championship as well. Those were the only 3 games last night. As I said, the boys basketball tournament structured a little bit differently than the girls. When we saw the girls districts, every semifinal was 2 games in one night. Just get it done, wash your hands of it and go to the championship game. The boys basketball tournament, a little bit spread out. So you have those 3 matchups tonight, last night in those places. The same venues will be back in action tonight for the second semifinal. The question is that comes up with that. Obviously, they're trying to do it to make sure that they get the gate, because OHSA, their logo is green for a reason. So they're trying to make sure they get as much people to both games as possible and headline 1 game a night. And they feel like in the boys basketball world, that's their best chance to get a big crowd, is to have the 1 game at the one place, and they feel like the best way to get a girls crowd is to have both games in one place and have the fans be able to stick around for the second one. But what that does do is it gives one team an extra day of preparation. Lutheran East won, JFK won, and Beechwood won. So they have that day where they can win and then go scout the team that's playing tonight. And then they can have that extra day to go and prepare. Is the extra day going to make a huge difference? I don't think so. I don't think it's enough to, get up in arms about and, let's go get an angry mob and storm the gates of the OHSA. I don't think it's that kind of thing where it's completely, up in arms about it, but it is a difference maker. It's a little bit of an advantage to say I have an extra day, especially the fact that you can go scout the team the next day. Like and honestly, the teams that we're playing tonight had the same opportunity last night. So now that I'm talking through it in my head, which is what you get here on Running Point, you get Anthony talking through it in his head. I guess it's not that much of an advantage, is it? Because um, the teams that were going to play tonight had every opportunity to go and watch last night's game. So the only advantage it gives the team last night is, like I said, they have that one extra day where they can get in the gym, prepare, one extra day of rest, yada yada. It's. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it is something just to make note of that I think is, um, you know, if it comes down to a 1 point game, maybe you say they had the legs. I don't know. But it is a difference. It is a difference that we see in girls and boys. And whether or not it's a big difference can be up for debate for sure. We have a comment saying how excited they are for Gerard football. Gerard football coming up in the fall, and obviously they want to thank us for everything they do, and they're appreciative for YSN over the years. And yeah, I mean, as much as we hate to admit it, and as much as we don't want to think about football because it's such a machine and it's a stressful time of year, football is always in that horizon. I think a lot of people, when you start to get into the spring sports coming up, you start to think about football starting in the summer, 2 days, and you start to really get excited for football if you're a football fan out there. And there's a lot of high school football teams to be excited about, for the fall. And Gerard, they made a run at the NE8 this year. They just ran into South Range, but they have some good quality kids coming back, and they're still alive in the basketball season too. So get excited for Gerard. They're gonna play on Thursday. Gerard basketball plays against Gilmore Academy, against no, not against, but against Gilmore Academy in Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Um, so that's where Gerard's going to play, and I think I've said it before. I think Gerard can make a run in this tournament, and I would not be surprised at all if they get a win over a very good Gilmore Academy team and they punch a ticket to the district championship. I believe in Coach Hannon. I believe in the talent and the leadership that Gerard has on that basketball team with everything I got. And like I said, I think Gerard, despite the struggles at the end of the season, they had about 10 days off between that and the start of the tournament, and they were able to hit a little bit of a reset button, wash the regular season out of their mind, realize that the NE8, they still won it. They still shared the NE8 with South Range and Jefferson. They still get the trophy. They still get the plaque. So that goal is still accomplished. I know they wanted to win it outright, and they had the chances to do that. But at the end of the day, I think they would trade that for a district championship if they could. If going through that little rough spell in the last couple weeks of the season gets them focused and gets them to go win a district championship, I'm sure everyone on that Gerard team, Coach Hannon, Mr. Cardero, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Palmer, I think they would all agree full-handedly that they would give up the outright NEA championship if it meant that they were locked into a district championship and they were able to win that. So we'll see what Gerard can do. I think they can beat Gilmore Academy and at least get into that district championship. We'll see what it goes from there. But I do believe in Coach Hannon. I think he's one of the really best coaches we have in the area, and I think he proved it this year with what he did with the Gerard team that was coming off a season where, remember last year, they started off really hot. They were in the thick of the NE8 about halfway through, and then they really tailed off, and they lost the first game of the tournament. So he brought the same kids back and kind of refocused them. Yes, they had a little bit of a stumble in the last 2 weeks of the season, but it was nothing compared to kind of how they fell off the year before. So he refocused his guys. He got really good leaders. He developed really good leaders. I think Coach Hannon is a stand-up coach. and I think Girard has a really big chance in this district. And he's calling the upset of Ursuline if they're able to beat Gilmore Academy. They would match up with a probable Ursuline team if Ursuline's able to win their district semifinal and get into the championship. It would be Girard and Ursuline. Who knows, right? I mean, obviously Ursuline is. If I was breaking down on paper, Ursuline is a better team. But what if I said once in this show and in the last couple of weeks, you don't have to be the better team. You just have to be the better team that night. And Girard has enough talent to be a better team that night. And I think they could absolutely do it. I wouldn't be surprised if Girard gets a win over Gilmore Academy and pulls off an upset. I mean, we've seen a lot of upsets in this bracket, whether it be in this tournament time, whether it be on the boys or girls side. We've seen a lot of teams that we probably didn't expect to go into a place and get a win, and they did. I mean, look at what Mooney did to Brookfield on the girls side. They went into Brookfield in the sectionals, and they beat them. And probably the best game that Mooney's played all season. So if tournament time tells you anything, if it teaches you any lessons, it's this. Anything can happen on any given day when it's a one and done situation. It's the same thing when we have any tournament really in high school sports. It's not a series. It's not best of 3. It's not best of 5. It's one game to decide who moves on. And in that scenario, you're always going to have one or two teams that is just the better team that night, whether or not they're the better team in the whole season or they're the better team on paper. Doesn't matter. They're the better team that night. And when that happens, it's chaos, and it's why we love sports. So Girard, best of luck to you. Like I said, fully believe in what you're doing and what Coach Hannon is putting together down there for the Girard basketball team. Now, as we move on into the show, we definitely recap what happened last night. Congratulations to all the teams that are moving on, and once again, congratulations on a great season to all the teams that we have to say goodbye to. But now we're going to move on to the interview section of this show. We have a couple of play for you. And then when we come back from the interviews, we will preview the games that are going to be happening tonight. We have some regional games happening. We have some more district semifinals happening. So it's going to be a fun time. But first, I want to get to the interview sections before we, go overboard here and before I get on a huge tangent. So let's hear from Matt Reel, the head coach of the Canfield Cardinals girls team that is playing in the regional semifinals tonight in Barberton. Anthony Hartwig back again with another Coach's Corner from Canfield girls basketball. Head coach Matt Reel. Matt, you're here because you are the district champions for the first time in this program's history since 10 years ago, back in 2013. When you hear that, I'm sure you've heard it a lot. You've heard a lot of people ask you about it. What kind of things come to your mind and come to your emotions when you kind of call yourselves district champions?
Well, I'm just first. You're so excited for the girls because, they've been a group that's done everything they could to prepare for that moment. And, even when you do prepare as hard as you can, sometimes that moment never happens. And, in the past 9-10 years, we've had a lot of really good teams that just haven't had the opportunity for one reason or the other. And to kind of get over that hump and get back to the regionals is just a wonderful feeling. And just so proud of all the girls.
The last time we talked, you were talking about how you hadn't won a district championship yet as a head coach. You'd lost the ones that you'd played in. So from just a personal standpoint, what's it feel to get that kind of monkey off your back and to be able to wear that gold banner this time?
I certainly like gold better than silver. It's probably the favorite necklace I've worn in a long time. But obviously, it's exciting for me as a coach, and it's exciting for every coach to get to regionals. And the first time getting to do it, it was everything I expected and more. So, it's really not about me. I've never scored a basket, but I'm just excited for the girls and our parents and everybody that's been involved with this season. It's been really special.
Let's break down this game. Obviously, two of the best teams in the whole division. When you break down RPI, you were 3, Salem was 8. Everyone knew it was going to be a battle. And it was a low-scoring defensive game. 32, 20, 26 is final score. If I were to tell you back on our Coach's Corner before the game that it was going to be a game where neither team scored more than 32 points. What percentage chance would you give you guys in that kind of game with the way that Salem plays defense, of course?
Well, we were kind of laughing. Some other people said it's probably going to be the first to 35, and unfortunately, neither team got there. We kind of expected a low-scoring game, but yeah, I mean, we thought we'd have to score a few more points to win. But I think our defense was as good as it's been all year, and we had a few bounces go our way, and you need that to advance sometimes. And it was just I thought a great game for girls basketball in our area. Salem is an excellent team, and they're an excellent defensive team, and you get nothing for free against them. So I thought it was just a battle between what I think are the two best teams in our area this year.
Being able to watch that game, and one of the things that I noticed, especially early, that both teams were trying, struggling a little bit, getting their offensive rhythm in. You were the ones that scored first. You had a 3 from Kate Sully. What did that do for your team to be able to just kind of relax after that 3? It felt like after that, the tightness kind of loosened up a little bit.
Well, it did for a while there, and I think the tightness came back when they made their run on the third. But Kate's known for her driving, but she's a capable shooter, and when you leave her open, she's going to knock in more than her fair share. And to get that early one off and in, I think it settled us down a little bit, gave us a little bit of confidence, and our girls really believed that we were going to find a way to get it done last night, and they did.
Let's talk about that third quarter. You take an 18-10 lead into the half, and then Salem scores 11 of the next 12 points. 11-1 run, goes up 21-19. What were some of the factors of staying calm, cool, and collected through that and not letting the game get away at that point?
They had, I think, a 9-0 run to start the half, and Kate Sully went down and made 2 clutch free throws. And then, we had a couple defensive possessions where we got some stops when they got some steals. We call those Cardinals recovered turnovers. And, they had a couple chances to maybe extend that lead. And I thought we made some defensive plays and did a nice job rebounding. I thought that was key. And then Jenna Treveri's big 3 at the end of the third quarter, I think, was a really, really underrated shot. We were down 3 at the time. To pull even in the third quarter, I think that just kind of relaxed us a little bit and said, okay, we're still okay. They made their run. It's time to make ours.
You give us a perfect segue. We talked about it the last time we had you on. It can be anybody in this team, and on Saturday it was Jenna Treveri that stepped up and led you guys in points. Just talk about what you saw from her in that moment and how she handled the bright stages of a district championship.
Jenna doesn't get too high, too low, and for a freshman, that's kind of rare. She's pretty collected, and she's a focused basketball player, and she plays beyond her years. The moment wasn't too bright for her, and she was ready for the challenge. And, if you would have told me that, Abby Muck scores no points for us and Carly Harmon's 2, and they're 2 of our leading scorers, and win a district title, I'd be happy with it. But, it's not shocking because somebody always seems to step up, and it was Jenna. And I'm just proud of her because, boy, she improved this year. And, she's just showing what kind of player she is.
When you talk about the stage not being too big for anybody on your team, how proud were you of that? Because you came in as the less experienced team on this stage. Salem was there last year. They won it last year. They knew what it was about, but you guys looked like you were just as experienced as them, and you didn't let that stage get to you. What were some of the factors of that, you think?
We have some seniors, and, even though they're seniors, they haven't been in that moment a ton. I think our really tough game against West Branch on Wednesday, I think that helped us get used to the intensity of a district game. But this whole year, we've tried to challenge them in the summertime. We've tried to challenge them with scrimmages, with teams on our schedule, and, really tried to make things difficult for them as much as we can so we can get used to that moment. But until you're in it, you don't know how they're going to react. And I thought they really maintained their poise. We got some great contributions from our bench. And, for us, that I think that was the key. And, I think this time we really had a belief different than the first time that, we'd find a way.
One of the things about your seniors is coming into before this year, they really weren't asked to be great leaders the years before. You had great leaders on the teams last year and the years before. They were just kind of the role players that kind of showed up and did their job. This year, a lot of these seniors were asked to step into that leadership role a little bit more. take a little bit more responsibility, and they've done that all season long. From your perspective, how proud are you that you've seen so many players just kind of step into that role and shine with it and not back down from it?
And you never know how players are going to adjust to that. For instance, we had a senior who's missed most of the year with a knee injury, and the leadership started in the summertime and in the spring and the workouts, because if she wasn't in physical therapy, she was at everything, and that's Emmy Rubin. And she was kind of an inspirational figure for early in the year, and now that she's back, she's really helped us and fulfilled a role for us, coming off the bench. Kate, she gets intense and she gets frustrated, but she kind of leads in her own way. She's got a goofy side to her in a good way, and she keeps things light. Abby Muck can be intense, goofy also. She leads in her own way. Carly Harmon, if you get 3 words out of her, that's a good day for her. But she kind of leads by example on how hard she plays, and I think our underclassmen really respect how hard they work and how committed they are, and that's rubbed off on a lot of them, in terms of their work ethic and how important it is to them.
Before we go on and preview the next round, real quick, I want to talk about what it was like to compete against the Salem team. You've played them every year, and obviously, because they're probably the second, they're another good team on our YSN network. Want to give them some flowers as well. What was it like to play a team that probably could have gotten to a regional final if they didn't run into you guys, to play them in a district championship? Was there ever a moment where you were like, after the smoke cleared, dang, this would have been a really good regional final if it worked out that way?
Yeah, definitely. I thought that, we knew coming into the game how hard they play, and we know how talented they are. We have a lot of respect for Abby Davidson. She's a very difficult cover. I thought we did a really good job on her. She had 16 points. Riley Hutton is lightning fast. We held her to 5, and Cami Rome had none. And, those are 3 really good players. And everybody else they play really, really plays hard. I really respect how hard they play. They make every catch difficult. They make every play difficult. And you don't get any free shots or, really any free possessions with them. So we knew what a battle was going to be coming in, and, hats off to them. I mean, I think it's really a shame it was a district final game, but, those are games where, when you get to this level in the tournament, there's going to be some really good teams out there, and Salem was definitely one of them. So, to beat them in a district final with the quality of team they are, it's just special.
Here comes another one right down the barrel. You got Marlington on Tuesday, a team that you beat by 1 in the regular season. They split with the Salem team you just beat in the regular season as well. And, almost a carbon copy of Salem, some of the things that they do and some of the things that they thrive in. When you see Marlington and you look at them on film and you look at this matchup ahead in Barberton, what's the thing that sticks out to you about the Dukes?
They're both excellent defensive teams, but they do it almost in entirely different ways. Salem's going to be up in your face, man-to-man, not giving you passing lanes, while Marlington's going to be more of a zone-oriented team. They're going to play the passing lanes very long, and they play their 2-3 and their 1-3-1 zones really, really well. So it's almost a different way of attacking them offensively, but, both of them are very sound defensive teams. And the thing about Marlington is you're not going to get many fouls called on them because they do a really good job of contesting shots without fouling. So, to get them out of their zone and get them a little more comfortable, you got to make some outside shots.
This is a Marlington team that has been this good for a while, but hasn't tasted regionals yet. They've run into really good teams in districts and haven't been able to get out of the district yet up to this point. So they're going to come in with energy. So are you guys. You're both programs are kind of in the same boat. How are you going to match that energy that they're going to bring into this game at Barberton on Tuesday?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is their first district title in their program's history. So, I know they're going to be very, very excited. And, for our girls, they've never been in it either. So I think both teams are going to come with a tremendous amount of energy. And, one of our goals is going to be, the excitement of everything is just try to keep it as much as you can as a normal game, even though it's not going to be, just with everything there. But, I think the team that's just smarter about how they play and use their energy, it's going to be an advantage, especially early.
We talked about it before we hit record. It's a really quick turnaround. You play on Saturday, you have to play again on Tuesday in Barberton. Being that it's Marlington, you've already played them. It's a little bit more of a familiar team than maybe the teams on the other side of the region. What kind of blessing is that to have a team that you don't have to dive into hours and hours of film to kind of get to know? You kind of know what you're getting into when it's Marlington, when it's just 2 days away.
I think it helps because, having some familiarity, and I'm sure it helps them at the same time, having seen us, and we've seen them in scrimmages in the past. So we know their personnel. We have girls that play on the same AAU team. So they know each other. That helps. But, as a coach, you never have enough days to prepare. I know the football guys complain because they get 8 days before games, and, that's not enough time for them. And, for us, it's like almost a day and a half where you're getting ready. But, that's just the way it is in Division II. And, we're going to try to get as ready as we can and get our legs back because it was a very physical game last night, obviously. We're going to try to get our legs ready to go for Tuesday night.
It's really not enough time to fix too many things in practice that you saw that you might want to improve on from Saturday. How do you handle that? Seeing things that that you can get a quick fix to in 1 or 2 days.
Well, at this point, you're really depending on the habits that you've developed throughout the year. There's not a whole lot of time to, reinvent the wheel or anything like that. What you're trying to do is just maybe reinforce some things. And, what the good thing about Tuesday it does as a coach is it makes you really focus in on what's important. So, what are the major things you need to try to limit for Marlington? What are the things for our team that we're going to do well? And I think it forces me to be a little more concise as a coach, a little bit more organized, and really focus in on what's important. So in that regard, I think that, it does help a little bit playing on Tuesday.
Last time we talked about the atmosphere at Streetsboro, what it was going to be like with everyone right on you in the small gym. Barberton's the opposite. You have a stadium feel, the drop-down scoreboard. The student sections are behind the backboard, so you have to deal with them when you're inbounding on the baseline, things like that. How excited are you to kind of change up the atmosphere and be in that kind of big stadium tournament type realm down there in the Purple Palace of Barberton?
Barberton's it's a beautiful place, and I got really fond memories there. We've, as an assistant coach, I've been part of a lot of battles. It seems like we played Hathaway Brown there every single year. That's where when we went to state in 01, that's where we came out of. So I think it's a gorgeous facility that the people treat you great there. And when you get there and you play at Barberton in Division II, you've had a really great year and a really great tournament run. So, for our players, I think it's just going to be another experience. In that type of atmosphere, I think the team that's focusing and shooting it's going to be a key. But it's a great place to play, and I know they're going to be excited. They've been there for shootouts in the summertime, but not on the main court like when everything pulled out. So, it's an exciting time for us, and we're going to make sure our girls soak it in and really enjoy it.
The further you go into the tournament, the closer that dream of a trip to Dayton gets. How do you not let that slip into your mind, especially you as a coach? You got to start to be like, oh, man, we're 2 away. Dayton would be an awesome thing, but you can't let that happen. So what are some of the things that you do as a coach and as a team to not let that slip into your head a little bit that you're 2 steps away from a trip to state?
It's funny. When Coach Mike Pavlansky, our football coach, came and talked to our girls, he talked about what they talked about during their football season, and that, if you overlook the next opponent, it doesn't really matter what you do because you're going to be turning your equipment in the next day. And I think that really resonated with our girls because, they followed our team along the way, went to every game, and they saw how that team focused in. And, we told them today, hey, that you got a district title, you have a league championship, and those are things when you walk in our gym you're always going to have. But at this point, that's over with. We got to get ready and just try to go 1-0 Tuesday. And, we've done a pretty good job of that all year. And, I think that's the biggest thing. And we try to help them say, everybody else is going to be talking about everything else. But as a team, you got to focus in on Tuesday and do your best to try to get a win, and then just go 1-0 each night you play.
Coach, before we let you go, I want you to give us the biggest key to victory on Tuesday night for you guys.
I think if we compete like we did defensively against Salem, I think we'll be right there in the game. I think for us, it's going to come down to, are we going to go make some shots? Are we going to go finish plays? We didn't do a great job of that against Salem. our defense kept us in it. But I'll give you those two keys. I think we just got to play great defense like we did again Saturday, and we got to put the ball in the hoop.
All right, Coach. First of all, congratulations on the district championship. We're all happy for you, and we can't wait to continue our coverage down in the regionals. Richie, Giuliano, and myself will be down there for the call of YSN in Barberton, so we can't wait to get back on the mic with you guys, and we wish you the best of luck against Marlington on Tuesday, and we hope that we get to talk to you again real soon about maybe a regional final.
That would be awesome. I appreciate the kind words, Anthony. Thank you.
Head coach Matt Reel of the Canfield Cardinals preparing for a regional semifinal tonight against Marlington. We will preview that in the second half of the show along with the other games that are going on tonight. But first, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have an interview with Dylan Turvey from South Range to play on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Locally owned and operated, Sheely's relaxed shopping experience means browsing and lounging is always encouraged.
Find Flex Deal and more at Sheely's Furniture and Appliance, because the best things in life happen at home.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring golf instruction by PGA professionals, a state-of-the-art practice range, a PGA of America recognized pro shop, kids programs, and a relaxing grill room for a memorable golf experience. For more information or to schedule a tee time, visit millcreekmetroparks.org.
Fall is in the air. The kids are back to school, crowds are cheering for the home team, and Myers Family Insurance is prepped for another crazy Medicare season. Every year there's changes, some big, some small, so it's important to have a conversation to make sure your plan is going to meet your expectations for the coming year. Give our team a call today to schedule your annual review.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance or visit us on the web. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com.
Going from mindful to mindful sometimes requires a helping, healing hand. Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness offers a continuum of mental health and wellness care. At Insight, we're changing the way you receive counseling and wellness services with experienced licensed clinicians and expertly trained wellness staff. With 4 locations in Mahoning and Columbiana County, along with telehealth services, Insight offers clients quick access to care when they need it. Transform your mental health and wellness at Insight Clinical Counseling and Wellness.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you as always by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. They go the extra mile for you. We try to do the same here on this show every single day, and we thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of this show and everything that we do at YSN as always. Now, before the commercial break, we promised you an interview with Dylan Turvey from South Range, and that's what we're going to do. The junior from the Raiders and one of the big leaders on that team. Hear from him and hear what he had to say. Anthony Hartwig here with the South Range boys basketball player profile. I'm joined by Dylan Turvey. Dylan, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get into the meat of this interview and ask you about the season, first of all, kick game is strong. I think you got the best kicks on the team easily. How much pride do you take in the shoes you wear?
Oh, like I just love wearing basketball shoes, man. Like that's one thing I just spend most of my money on. Like I worked at Arby's and I literally spent like all my paychecks on basketball shoes.
That is perfect. What are some of the favorite shoes that you've been able to wear?
Well, I like the LaMelos, but my dad doesn't let me wear them anymore because he thinks that I get called for travels a lot because they like look at my feet. So now I like wearing the Paul Georges because they're like a little bit lighter. I feel a little more light on my feet with those on.
You've also had, a good color scheme with these shoes. What are some of the favorite like color schemes that you have in your kicks?
Well, I have like these tie-dye ones, like pink and blue. I really like to wear. I got like lime green that I like, and then I have these other just pink ones I like to wear too.
How many shoes do you have in your closet?
Well, in my basketball locker, I think I have 7, and then at the crib, I got quite a few here.
There you go. I mean, you got to spend your money on something, right?
Yeah. something.
Everyone's got their vices. All right.
Yeah.
So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this basketball season. Obviously, we've talked to a couple of your teammates already today. We talked about the start of it and what kind of were the keys to turning it around. From your perspective in that locker room, what were some of the things that happened after that 0-5 start that really turned this team around, and were the reasons that you guys were able to start winning?
We were just like tired of what was going on outside of basketball, and we just wanted to come together and just start to play. Like, we didn't really care like who it was or anything. We just wanted to play basketball basically.
How much did the football team state run and getting those players back and getting them into, the basketball stride help you guys realize that the start wasn't as bad as it looked?
The big thing was getting the football players' legs. Like, at the beginning of the season, they were dead. It wasn't until probably the 6th or 7th game they were finally starting to get their legs back for basketball.
All right. So when you think about a point in the season, maybe it was a game or a stretch in a game, when did the confidence in this team start to really click and you start to realize that you guys could put together something special?
I think it was when we beat Louisville. Like, that game was probably one of the funnest games I've been a part of. Like, Louisville coming in undefeated and us having only one win on the season, really proved that we're here to battle.
And then you guys went on, and you guys are 8-0 in one possession games. I mean, down the stretch, you guys make clutch plays. It seems like it's your job. What do you think has been the key factor in this team's ability to pull out these close games and stay calm down the stretch and be able to make those plays when you have to?
We simulate these type of game moment. We do under 30-second game moments in practice. So I think that really helps us during the games because literally almost all of our games have been within 10 points.
A lot of players on this team can score, and they've all proved it this year. Seems like your scoring ability really took a ramp up the last couple weeks of the season. What has been the difference for you down the stretch, and what got your confidence going?
Well, I just do whatever I can to help us win. Some days it might be just distributing the ball to Landon, Luke, Aiden, and then some days I just gotta score. They're not hitting their shots, so I just gotta step up and start scoring.
You've been on this floor for a while. You've been a starter. You've been a pin into this team for a while. What have been some of the things and experiences that you've leaned on this year to help pull this team up in the times when it needed to be pulled up?
Well, we've never this as long as I've been here, we've never had a winning season. I just was really tired not winning. I just hate losing, and I think this year we had the right guys and we bought in together, and now we're starting to win.
Let's go back to the last game of the regular season. Obviously, you guys are one game back in the NE8. You're going to Jefferson, which is a tough place to go. They hadn't lost a home game. You have to win this game to earn a share of the NE8. What was that feeling like to go on the road to Jefferson, beat the Falcons, and earn the program's first NE8 championship?
Oh, that was awesome. That was probably if Louisville was my favorite game this year, it was that one. Going out there, beating them at Jefferson, after that long bus ride. We started off real slow, but we fought our way back into it, and I feel like we deserved a part of that NE8 title.
All right, so those were your two favorite games. What are some of your favorite moments this season? There's been a lot of thrilling moments, a lot of great memories that this team has made. What has been your favorite moment of the season so far?
My favorite moment was Landon hitting the 3 to go into overtime against Jefferson. He was celebrating. I was just laughing because he's not a big celebrator most of the time, but he hit his first 3 of the season and he was going crazy.
A lot of people look at this team and say you only have one senior, so a lot of young players have to step up, but that senior is pretty important. And Leighton Leone, what kind of rock has he been for you guys? He's hitting his share of game-winning shots as well. But, he comes off of that state championship on the football team where he's a big part of that. What kind of leadership and rock has he been for you guys throughout this season?
He just kind of knows, he's Aiden's very smart. He just knows, constantly, where to position us and, how to help us out, where we should be on the court and everything.
I've also talked to your teammates about the bond this team has and how it's grown this year. What's it like being in a locker room where when you say it's a brotherhood like every team does, this team lives it out, this team you can feel it, this team, lives it. What's it like to be in a locker room like that?
Oh, it's fun. There's no other way to put it. having like we have 20 brothers all together. Like we have a PlayStation locker room, and like we play, and then we would go at each other, but we know it's just all fun.
What game is the most popular on the sticks in that locker room?
It's 2K, obviously. Yeah.
When you're playing 2K, who's your go-to team?
I mean, it might sound soft, but I use the Golden State Warriors because I just like to shoot. So,
who's the best at it though? Who's the best on the team at it?
2K, I would probably say either Crummy or Noah Delator. He's a good 2K kid.
About when you're practicing on the floor and you're trying to keep competitive with each other, what kind of things do you guys do in practice to compete as a team?
Oh, we talk crap to each other all the time. Like that's the big thing. Like in practice, like we will talk so much crap, but then out of practice, we're just brothers. Like we know it's only in practice. We're just trying to get each other better.
Who's the best trash talker on the team? Who's got that one that like they can cut into your soul if they have to?
I would say Brady Crumbacher, honestly. Like he just says like stuff like it just gets me mad sometimes. Like just hearing it come out of his mouth just makes me mad.
When you're in those moments competing with your team in the practices in the parts of the season where you have to push yourself, what kind of things do you lean on mentally to get through those times and get through the long stretch of a basketball season?
Like I don't know. Like I just know like you just gotta like persevere through the challenges that we have. Like eventually something good will happen, even though something good's not happening right now. As long as you get through this challenge, like you'll eventually be rewarded for what you've done.
All right, first in the 8 championship. Now you're going for the program's first district championship. Obviously, one step at a time, but you're going to Warren Harding on tomorrow night. What's that going to feel like to be on this stage and to have a chance to give this program their first district championship?
I mean, personally, I just want to go out there and have fun. I don't think really any of our game plan will change. I think we're just going to do what we have to do to win, and then I just think we're just going to go out and try to have some fun.
With the thrilling game-winning, shots and the offense that you guys have been putting together this year, a lot of people overlook this defense that you guys have. You've won a couple games when the other team has a chance to win and you don't let them shoot. What has this defense been like, and how much pride does this team take in their defense?
Well, I think the main thing is we hate letting people score on us. Like we just gotta play hard defense. Like, and normally it doesn't mean a lot of people, but our team, we enjoy playing defense.
Take us back to the game where the defense came up the biggest, that Springfield game where they had the ball for about the last 30 seconds, but they still couldn't get a shot off. What was that like being on the other end, being the defensive team in a game-winning situation, knowing that you guys have to get a stop to win this game?
The big thing on our defense during the Springfield game, when they held that ball for a while and they had that last shot, all of us were constantly talking on the floor. Like we were all communicating with each other, making sure we all knew what was going on.
When you have a team that you trust as much as you guys do, how easy is that to communicate on the floor on defense?
Oh, like it's like effortless. Like it's just like we're talking to each other in like class or like at lunch or something. Like we just know we know who to listen to and like how to respond to them and then just build off of each other.
As we're talking about the bond that you built this year with this team, what teammate do you think you've gotten to know the most over the stretch of the season?
This stretch, I would say Luke Rowan. I wasn't real close with Luke going into this year, but like this year we've gotten real close. And I've always been close with Brady and Landon and like Matthew and Baxter, but I would say I've gotten closer with Luke Rowan this year.
Let's talk about Luke. Your perimeter threat, your deadly eye shooter. There was a stretch where he hit 17 threes in 3 games. What's it like to see a teammate start to feel it like that? Know almost every shot he puts up, he's not going to miss.
Oh, I just love watching him play. Like it's like he just knows, like he calls it after it goes out of his hand, and like I was just impressed with him, like that he has that confidence just to let it fly.
When you have a shooter like that, does it give the rest of the players confidence too? Like, okay, if he's going out there and shooting, maybe I can go out there and do it too.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like in practice, like Luke will start hitting some threes, and then Landon will get the imagination that he can start hitting threes, and then he'll start pulling it. But
what do you think is one thing this team can improve on as you go into districts and you can still get better at?
The thing we got to improve on probably is like making the extra pass. Like sometimes we don't make the extra pass, but we still get the good shot, but we can make one more pass and get the great shot.
All right, so we've talked about how getting through the tough situations, what you've done mentally. What about some people in your life that have helped you through that stuff and the role models that you have in your life?
I would definitely say my parents. My parents like just helped me with everything. Like even at the beginning of the season, they were always talking to me, making sure everything was good, and like they always were there to support me and everything. And then my grandparents too, they were always there to help. And then just like my teammates, basically, we were always checking in on each other, making sure everything was going good.
What's the biggest form of advice you've gotten from those role models?
I mean, I would say like from my parents, I would say that like just go play. Like just don't let the outside stuff bother you. Just go play. Just go play your game.
You've stepped into a leadership role this year, but this team, has had good leaders that have graduated the last couple of years. Who have been some players that have moved on from South Range, whether it be on the basketball team or just senior leaders in the school system that you've kind of leaned on to teach you how to lead over the years?
I mean, my freshman year, Nate Brown was I would say our leader. He really like made sure everyone was good and like checked on everyone. And then last year, I would say Mark Naples was our leader, and he helped out and made sure everything was good.
When you have players like that, especially Mark Naples, who's at your games and feeding back into the program after they graduate, what does that mean to you that you have leaders that don't just say goodbye to the program and then step out and don't come back? You have guys that are pouring into the program as alumni that want to see you guys succeed even after they're done playing in the jersey.
It just shows that they care. Like they really want to see us win. Like they just come to the game, support us, and they just show like they actually care about like us.
And now with all the success comes role models yourself. You get a lot of young players that come up to you and they want to be where you're at when they hit the varsity level. What's that like to know that you have a lot of young eyes on you and you have a lot of young basketball players in the South Range community that look up to you guys now as the varsity level basketball team?
Like I just want them to learn that like we like even though like it might like we started our season off 0-5 like that. I mean that's not very good. But like we learned from it and we made our changes and then we got better. I just want them to like learn that like even if it starts off bad, it can always get better.
If one of those kids came up to you and asked for one piece of advice, like what does it take to get to where you're at? What would you say to them?
Like my favorite, like I love this quote. It says that I would tell them, you might not understand, or you might not know now, but you will understand later. This like it kind of like just says like you don't know why this is happening now, but like everything happens for a reason. You will eventually understand why it happened.
If you reflect on your youth and when you were starting to get into basketball and you wanted to play as a little kid, what were some things that you wish someone would have told you back then?
I mean, like I wanted someone to tell me like that, like I don't know, like I always had the right mentors when I was younger, and like they always told me the right stuff, I feel like, and like that just really helped me to get better to how I am today.
And now that we go into your future and obviously the things that you want to get better at, and it's that time of your life where you have to start thinking about things you want to do in your future. What things come to mind when you think about life after high school and you think about what you want to do after you graduate from South Range?
I'm thinking like I'll probably go into pre-med maybe, or I might go into like financial advising. Like pre-med, I would go like sports medicine, like the sports medicine route, and like help with like physical therapy and all that type of stuff.
It's also that time when you start to look at colleges and you start to look at where you want to go. You want to travel, or do you want to stay a little bit close to home when you thinking about colleges?
I mean, I think I might I'm thinking about trying to transfer, but like my first year, I definitely want to stay at home just because like. So I get comfortable with the college feel, and then eventually I'll probably move away.
What's the dream state? If you could live in any state, where would you want to go to college?
I would say probably South Carolina. I'm a big South Carolina fan.
Okay, well there you go. Awesome, Gamecocks, roll with it. Dylan, thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out your support system and all the people that have been there for you.
All right, I'm gonna shout out to my mom, my dad, my grandma and grandpa. And I'm going to shout out to Brady Crumbacher, a.k.a. LaCrum James.
Awesome, Dylan. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck in tomorrow's district semifinal. Wish you the best of luck, and we can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
All right, thank you.
Dylan Turvey from South Range, a great opportunity I had to speak with him. We also have one coming up on the website soon with Nate Lewis as well. All those guys, Luke Rowan was on the show yesterday. They're all getting ready for the district semifinals tonight against Brookfield in Warren Harding. And that'll be a perfect segue into the preview of what's going on the network. Tonight we have tournament games on both sides, girls and boys. Let's go into the day. See what we got going on tonight. We have two girls basketball games, both of them in the regional semifinals. Ty Bartell making the trip up to Medina as Hoban will play in the regional semifinal against Grafton Midview. Very good matchup. Midview is a very good basketball team. Winner will play the winner of Solon and Canton McKinley, who is playing in the other regional semifinal before them. Hoban will be the second game, so that game will start at approximately 8 o'clock, depending on how fast or slow the game with Canton McKinley and Solon goes. And then Marlington will take on Canfield. This one will be in Barberton at 6 o'clock. Myself and Richie Giuliano will be on the call from the Purple Palace in Barberton, and this is going to be a good one. They already played each other this year. Canfield won by 1. Marlington split with Salem. Salem and Canfield split. They're a very evenly matched team, and it's because all three of those teams I just mentioned, Marlington, Canfield, Salem, none of them have the one player that you can say we have to stop her. Marlington has 3 players that are averaging double figures in Elizabeth Mason and Maria Warner and Chelsea Evanich. So all 3 of them are averaging double figures. So how do you scout that? I mean, they're hard to scout because you can't just shut one person down. Same thing with Canfield. Same thing with Salem. All three of those players, all 3 of those teams, hard to defend. And Canfield, their defense has been playing really well of late. They were able to hold Salem to their lowest point total of the season. And they'll have to do the same thing tonight because I do not think that either one of these defenses are going to allow much more than 40, 45 points. So Canfield, if they're going to win, they better play really good defense and keep this game in the 30s and then try to get their shooters open, try to get their driving lanes open. And then the whole question for Canfield is who's going to step up this time? It's been a different player all the time. In their semifinal against West Branch, it was Carly Harmon. Against Salem, it was Jenna Treveri. It could be McElroy. It can be Solly. It could be Ritz even. Sometimes it can be Cammie Dill. You just don't know who's going to step up. That's why Canfield's hard to prepare for it because you don't know. It could be a game where I remember I called the game against Poland the first time they played each other in Canfield, where at that point in the season, the scouting report leaned a little bit towards McElroy and Solly and Treveri a little bit. Harmon hadn't really gotten going yet, and Harmon went off for 24 points. Canfield can do that to you. If you shut down 1 or 2 players, someone else steps up. So it's going to be interesting to see these 2 teams go at it. They both are the same way in that kind of fashion where they both have multiple players that can hurt you in multiple different ways. My key to the game defensively for Canfield is going to be making sure that Warner has a tough time as possible because Maria Warner, over 200 assists in her career. I think she is the program leader in assists. She broke that record, I believe, in the game that we did for them against South Range in the South Range Holiday Hoops tournament. So she can really distribute the ball and run that offense. So you have to make life as difficult as possible for her because she's the engine, the point guard, the one that makes it go. So I think that'll be the key for Canfield's defense. Can they make the passes that she's going to make very difficult? Can they put enough pressure on her? Can they, make her life a nightmare tonight? I think that's going to be the key. We go on to some other games that are happening on the boys' side in the district semifinals. We'll have Waterloo versus Perry at Niles at 7 o'clock. Ian O'Brien will be on the call. South Range will play Brookfield at Warren Harding. Noah Rick's going to be on the call there, 7 o'clock. Chagrin Falls will play Cardinal Moody, and Alec Caberna will be on the call there. That one will be at Salem at 7 o'clock. Dalton will play Lowville at Struthers at 7 o'clock. And then Matthews will play Badger at Grand Valley tonight. Matt Morrison will be on the call there. Southern is playing Mogador at Norton, and that one will not be on the network, but it is happening at 7 o'clock. So all those games on the network, make sure to tune in. One payment, $9.99, gets you access to all of those games. We hope you enjoy all the fun the tournament time brings tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow for Wrestling Wednesdays with Gary Altizer from 1 to 2 on Running Point. Brought to you